Two, one.
And welcome. We are here tonight, Blue Collar Green Pockets, along with Dave Jones and Chuck Wilson as usual. Your host, Jared Britt. Tonight, we were going to do UPS, FedEx, get some delivery drivers in here, Amazon, all the above. But these guys, they are working their butts off. Every single one of them had to bail on us at the last minute. So hats off to you guys. They're out there working hard. I think that would have been a great one. But instead, we are going to talk about getting back to work. I want to start right in with Dave. Dave, talk about your business. What's going on in your world? I know you run an HVAC company. Tell us about it.
Hey, Jeb. Good evening, and good evening to all the people that are watching us out there, and of course to Chuck. I always go back to this. Okay, everybody has their own take on this. I always go back to this without being too long-winded, Jeb. Okay. I go, don't give me the hook. Let me talk. No, I go back to this. I've seen a lot of, I've been doing this 40 years. I can't even believe it. I've been doing refrigeration and air conditioning work for 40 years. And I've seen a lot of different things going on 40 years. There was a crash in 08. Back in the 80s, there were problems in Texas. Remember, Houston shut down, and the gold market and silver market went crazy. I mean, there's been all these different catastrophes. Of course, there was 9/11. There was all these different things. I have yet to see one we don't come back from. First of all, that's the first thing I wanted to say. I have yet to see one that America hasn't come back from. Every time we've come back better. Every time we come back better. Now, with that being said, I think a lot of it has to do with, look, small business is probably what do you think, Chuck? 80% of the commerce in America?
It's certainly significant, 60 plus, maybe 80.
Yeah, 60, 80, somewhere. So all these small business people out there that had a dream at one time, and they had a dream to get in a business, whatever it was, they had their passion, all right? What I would say to all those people is, because I've seen this before, I would say spend a little time by yourself, and I want you to think back and write down the things that made you great originally. What put you into business originally? What made you the company or the restaurant or the realtor or whatever you are, whatever you do for work? What made you the person that people wanted to select? And I would spend a little bit of time by yourself, and I would just write down the 5 things. Because what happens is when we get into business, starting a business is different than running a business. And for all you people out there who have been entrepreneurs, Jeb, I know you've done this. Chuck, I know you've been in different businesses. When you start a business and you start with this passion and you just go full bore in, there's things that separate you from others that make people want to use you. So what I would say to people is, first of all, right now, I would just sit down and do a reset. I would do a reset because that's what this is. I would sit down and do a reset, and I'd say, okay, what are the 5 things that made me a really good business, realtor, doctor, nurse, whatever it is? What's the things that made you, because something made you great. Something made you great. And just because we're into this doesn't mean those things still don't exist. You're going to need those things coming out of this, plowing out of this. So with that being said, the way I look at it is this. I always look at it like this. We have today, this is my vision. We have today and we have 8 weeks from now. We have today and we have 8 weeks from now. So I kind of spend some of my time with one eye on today. What's going on today? What's the operations of today? What can we do right today? And then I keep one eye out 8 weeks from now. Where are we going? Now, I know a lot of it's uncertain right now, but a lot of it's not uncertain too. So I think the key to this, Jeb, to answer your question is for business people out there is to keep one foot on the ground today, keep one foot on the ground 8 weeks from now, but don't forget the things that made you really good originally, because they are the things you're going to have to do again. Like little things, like contacting customers, like, giving somebody a call. I mean, stuff that once you get into business, it's easy to get away from those habits. You need to get back to those habits. Write those habits down. That would be, I don't care what business you're in, sit down and write the 5 things that made you great and start doing them again, and you're going to be fine.
And what what all's it done to your business, Dave, sales wise? I know you do a lot of commercial as well and residential. I'm sure your residential's doing all right, but a lot of your customers are closed, aren't they?
Yeah, Jeff, there's a trickle down. We have really 2 kinds of commercial customers, really 3 kinds right now. We have the industrial kind that are just keep plowing on, and we're doing a lot of work there, but with a lot of restrictions. You know, they're very safe. The industrial customers are generally the most safety oriented customers. There's a lot of safety protocols. There always were. There always were before this. Right. So even now, they're even stronger. So we have that customer. Then we have the commercial customer, and the restaurants. Like I know you do a lot of restaurant establishments and stuff like that. These guys are getting slammed right now, and companies like ours are going to feel a trickle down in that sector. At the same time, some of them are calling us and saying, "Hey, look, I'm looking 7-8 weeks down the line. I want to get my stuff maintenance. I want to get, this piece of equipment reconditioned. I want to get this piece of equipment moved." Some of them are looking ahead, like this thing's going to be behind us, and they're going to be ready when it comes out of the gate. So the way it's affected us really is industrial customers, straight on, but more safety protocols. Commercial customers, about half and half between. Some are just like, hey, we're not doing anything. We're not going to do a thing because we don't know what's going to happen. But there's another half that are just getting up and going. They're saying, hey, look, we may not be 100% today. We may be 25% or whatever the protocol is, but we're going to be ready. We want to be ready. We want our stuff ready. Now, like me, like you, I'm in a summer area. Like Rehoboth Beach is a summer area. It's all about the tourists. It's all about the people coming to the beach and stuff like that. We know hot weather's coming. We know it's coming. We know hot weather's coming. We know they opened the beaches somewhat, even limited, but still. So we know that's coming. So we got to really plan for that. So we got to stay in the moment. We got to plan for 8 weeks down the line. Now on the residential side, I have to tell you, people in the last 2 weeks, the residential side is as busy as it's ever been. People are calling us. They want to get systems serviced. They want to get systems replaced. They want us to do it safely. They want to know what our protocols are. And our customers that are calling are giving us their conditions, which is really interesting. Right. People are calling us up and saying, hey, look, literally starting phone conversations like, we don't have anybody here that's been COVID positive. We've all been quarantined for this long. It's amazing the information they're giving us so that we can feel comfortable and safe doing work for them.
And you mentioned beaches opening back up, which gets me to Chuck Wilson, who's down in the Outer Banks, where I will be headed Friday. Chuck, what's going on down there, bud? Is it a ghost town, or is it starting to open back up? What's happening?
Well, I have never been so happy to see heavy traffic in my life as this past Saturday when they opened up the Outer Banks.
I'll give you till this Friday to get over that, because you know what's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, it's a short-lived excitement, but this place has been basically a ghost town. I mean, you could walk around any store and you may see another customer, and it's
what kind of businesses are still closed, Chuck? I mean, is everything pretty much open right now already?
Well, the restaurants are starting to open. There are restrictions. I've been ordering like takeout from various restaurants and going, and they come out, hand it to you, and so on. That may still be the case, but I think they're starting to maybe do like a 50% capacity approach. I'm looking forward to seeing all that. But I own a home that I rent out in the summertime for people to come enjoy the beach. The beach is just a little ways away from my house. I can hear it when I don't have these on, and walk down there and enjoy it. It's just a great place, and in a house like this, it has 5 bedrooms plus an extra area that can be used, and you can have like 12 or 14 folks here, and people can, as a family, be together and maybe be in a controlled environment. They can, venture out, kind of keep themselves safe. So I think it's a good place to come for a vacation, even in the current situation. But these past few months, I've been here in isolation, but I've been. And one thing Dave touched on is that we always recover from these things, and but I had a lot of rentals that canceled out of fear, and I would get the notes through VRBO. All these, they would mention, use the word worry at least 3 to 5 times in the note, plus concern, and all these things. And so they would, and plus they're bringing people from all over the country, and they're worried about, well, they can't get out of Boston, they can't leave Chicago, they're all in lockdown situations, and I've heard some other local owners that they were arguing with their customers, and I was just, okay, fine, 100% back, but there have been plenty of people stepping up to the plate. So if you're holding on too tightly, I think, to things, you're just going to be eaten up inside. Whereas just kind of count on that we're going to recover. Everything will be okay ultimately. And so, and I deal with a lot of tradespeople here with projects I'm working on, and they've seen a lot of changes, a lot of people not having their pools opened quite yet, and putting that off, which will then impact the pool people. All of a sudden, they won't be able to get everybody's pool open, for example. The people that treat for bugs, all the different projects that have been put on hold, all the services that people are reluctant to pay for. They're getting slammed, and now people will be upset that they can't get their services done.
And now, of course, when we need the help, it's kind of hard to get somebody to come back to work when they're making more sitting at home.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I see the owners of the companies that they're out there, doing everything themselves because they can't get the folks to come to work. And it's not so much, not entirely out of fear of the virus. It's they're kind of incentivized to stay home.
Well, we had a warm opening this weekend at our beach in Virginia Beach here, and I will say that it was packed. Our beaches were supposed to be closed. We had, I think it was about 14 lifeguards on duty. Police basically just telling people, you shouldn't be on the beach, but I'm going this way now. Instead of drinking in a bar, though, now people are congregated on the sidewalk in groups of 20, 30 people drinking in public now, still congregated, instead of being inside at the bar. So I really don't understand this 50% thing. They need to open up these restaurants. I mean, they got to still have full staff. I would almost start a movement right now and say, hey, everybody in a restaurant in Virginia Beach, just go back to work tomorrow. What can they do if everyone goes to work? The Strip, people driving, it was bumper to bumper. Police were out. They were very cordial. It was a nice weekend, but this weekend coming up, Memorial Day, I just don't understand how any of these businesses are going to be at any kind of a 50% capacity with the mountain of people that are going to be coming into our cities.
Jeb, how's your business? I mean, your service. I mean, you're primarily you do a lot of restaurants.
Yeah,
you know.
we've so we actually do movie theaters and all that have been closed as well. We actually have, like Chuck was mentioning, I got one theater that they took this time to go ahead and do some remodeling and stuff. So we got doing some electrical work out there right now. Restaurants started to pick back up. My drive-throughs, a lot of the fast food, they fared well or decent through this. The other restaurants, they're just now opening. We're doing full PMs, like you said, Dave. They're having to get all their equipment up to snuff, making repairs that we found, months ago that they put on hold. I ended up doing some residential work for 2 months. We changed out many systems for people just to make sure we kept all of our guys busy. But everything's starting to pick back up in warm weather. Of course, feel really bad for these businesses. They open up this weekend, they go buy all this food and everything, and then it rains solid for a week. Nobody's sitting outside this week. It's horrible. It's got to stop. Like, just go
It's
back
bad
to
on
work.
bad.
Yeah,
it's bad on bad. Yeah.
Just go back to work, everybody. I mean, really, what can they do if everyone just goes to work tomorrow?
Well, you hope everybody can do it safely, and healthy.
Well, you mentioned safely. That's good. I was just looking at some statistics just here in Virginia. So we have 8.536 million people in Virginia, and we've had a total of 3,900 hospitalities or hospitalizations with 1,041 deaths, that's a 0.012 deaths in Virginia for the population, which is, I mean, that's no more than a flu. We're going to keep this an anti-political show, but these numbers right here, I mean, yes, we had to do something. We had to stop, but it's going to be way worse when people don't go back to work, and sitting at home with a free check, that's awesome as long as the free checks keep coming. But when nobody's working to give the money to the government to give you that free check, then you're going to lose your house anyway. I mean, right now, I just don't understand why.
I think that
at this point, still, I get it at the beginning, but we're past it. We're past it. We've got.
I think the free check is a short-term solution, is what I think. We all have businesses. They all need to function. You don't need to get up and running. You don't need to get moving.
And it was, but now we're doing it again.
Well, you know what? When I say that, it's not taken away for 1 minute anybody that's lost somebody due to this, okay? Or to anything for that matter, but due to this in particular, anybody's lost a loved one or something like that to this, or it's had anything to do with that, I feel for them. It makes my heart hurt. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we just need to get back moving. We need to keep moving. I mean, otherwise, at what point, what's the right point? What's the right point? What's the right percentage? What's the right saturation?
When everyone's bankrupt?
Well,
and I haven't heard an awful lot said along this line, but the economic devastation that's going to result and the trickle down is likely to have a significant impact on life on the planet. I mean, the number of deaths that will probably result from the lack of economic activity will be significant. I mean, it's just, and to continue to hold to a line where we're trying to keep anybody from getting sick, well, that's not sustainable. I mean, just not economically sustainable. It's going to have a very bad impact on life on the planet. And
yeah, I always kind of like this whole thing, Chuck. I've kind of like equated to everybody remembers 9/11. And I don't have a lot of like animosity for our government or anything. I honestly think I think in most cases they've done the best they can do with the information they had. So I go back to thinking about 9/11, and the morning of 9/11, everybody remembers like 9 o'clock, 9:15, whatever. When that happened, And then, within an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours, we were grounding every plane in America, right? Okay, when we grounded all those planes, it might have been extreme, especially the ones out west. There was no threat out west. Everything was around the Northeast. But they grounded all those planes out of an abundance of caution. So I don't have a lot of like a lot of people I hear. I don't have a lot of second guessing stuff going on in my mind with the government. I think the government has done the best they can. I mean, I'm not one of these conspiracy theory guys. I don't think there's a move here to change money or to make everybody use Bitcoin or some big deal. I just think it's people doing the best they can. And like with 9/11, like I said, when they grounded all the planes, think back, they grounded every plane in America. They grounded every plane. Everything that flew, they grounded.
It needed to be done, but then what happened?
They needed to be done because they didn't know.
Right.
They didn't know what the level was. So that's my point.
But then information came in.
Right.
They flew again.
Right.
Life went on.
About 5 days later, life started to go on.
Right. And we made, we've definitely made a lot of new rules and regulations because of it. Just like now,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's going to be lots of more, I'm sure safety issues and
that's kind of
factories. And that's a good thing. I mean, that is a good thing. But we're ready to do it. We're ready. We take what we've learned and let's move on.
Yeah. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Okay. So we did our 9/11 type thing with this, our 9/11 type blanket shutdown. Well, I'm all about. I'm like, look, I'm one of these people. Like, I'd rather you overcorrect than undercorrect, especially when we don't know the level. We don't know the level. But now I think we're getting a little bit more sense of the level. I stopped by a place tonight, walked in there, got some takeout, and they had a bar there that's usually bustling. This bar had no bar stools at it. Had not one bar stool. Okay? Not one. Now, and I looked around and there were tables that had people sitting together at the tables. And I'm thinking to myself, and I looked at the table, one table had up to 8 people sitting there. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what in the heck is the difference between bar stools 4 or 6 feet apart and the 8 people that are sitting together, 2 feet from each other? I'm trying to figure that out, right? I'm trying to figure out what that difference is. And I'm trying to figure out, like, went to Bed Bath & Beyond yesterday. Couldn't get in. But I could go to Walmart and get in. So I'm trying to figure out, like, that's the one problem I have with this, with fellow business people. I'm like, what the heck is the difference between Walmart and Bed Bath & Beyond?
Right. And
when they do all the same stuff.
Right. And how can the government tell a business to close down? I mean, that's not what they're there for.
Yeah. But when I say that, I say it in the spirit of, I honestly, I believe in my heart that they're doing the best they can. Okay. That they did the best they can. But now I'm saying, when we sit back and look at this, just look at that one analogy. Bed Bath & Beyond, Walmart. What the heck's the difference? Auto parts store, pet store, you can go in, okay? Go in to buy a pair of jeans, you're not allowed in. All right, it's like, what the heck's the difference? That part, I'm not second guess. Again, I hate second guessers, but I'm not second guessing, but I'm just saying, as a person, as a business person, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. There's a lot of businesses out there that don't understand it either, Dave. Just looking at a quick couple statistics. This is April news. We're not going to have the May yet, but as of April, they were looking at over 20.6 million jobs lost since mid-March, which was an unemployment rate of an additional 14.7%, which is a level not seen since the Great Depression of the 30s. We're looking at right now, they're saying 50-year unemployment low in February, which is 3.5%. So we went from 3.5% to, and I think the latest they said we're like, around 30, I think, this month.
Yep.
Yep, 30%, which is just astronomical. And maybe 18 million people might go back.
And that's the people that have filed for unemployment, I think,
Right.
as opposed to lots of folks that are really not
One of-
eligible
You
for
got your phone.
unemployment that aren't working.
Yeah, one of y'all's phones was on. We were getting feedback. Or computer.
Not
Probably
guilty.
Dave's fault.
Not guilty.
Dave again.
Greg, show me your hand. Show me your hand.
This is Gary's hand.
I said, Greg, show me your hand.
Let's we got some comments up. I think are good comments, and one thing I do want to add, since this is an apolitical show, and I think both sides, there's a legitimate concern. There's no enemies. It's not one side against the other. I think there's concern on both sides, and people are trying to look at the situation as best as they can see it through their lens. And I think having passionate, compassionate but passionate discussions, understanding the other perspective, and being able to look at the facts is really important this time, because it's kind of a powder keg right now, and people are about to blow, and there needs to be some kind of normalcy.
Which Jeannie points out, mental health is a priority too. And that, I mean, I could just witness from my own children, being stuck. I don't even think they know how to play with kids anymore. Their schedules are off. There's homework and schoolwork and all. Is nothing.
Did they ask you if you were Barney?
No, my kids, neither one of my kids know who Barney is.
Okay, sorry, my bad. Hey, Chuck, you
I've
remember
heard a lot
Barney,
of kids
right?
at home are in bartender training these days or something. So.
Yeah, I mean,
The-
the struggle
chemistry.
is real. And I just to mention the middle of like my wife who's stuck home working while her kids are trying to go to school, which is, maybe 30 minutes on a computer a day. It's not very much work at all. But
I know some of the stories, Jeb, I've heard about people with their, my sons are older, they're 31, 28. But some of the stories I've heard, friends tell me when they're, I had an advertising person that works with us today, and she was teaching her kids, and her kids are like 6 and 4. It was absolutely hysterical. I was talking to her this morning. It was hysterical to hear her talk about it. It was like she was just like, I just want to tell them to shut up. Okay. And she said, I figured it out. I can't be a teacher. There's so many aspects when you talk about like the mental health part, the financial part. I mean, I'm not going to get into the marital part, like two people actually having to be with each other all the time during sequestration here. When you get into that, and then the unknown, right? Uncertainty in your life is always tough. Fear is always tough. Fear is always tough. And all that stuff. And, like when you're a business owner, you're thinking about all that stuff for you, but you're also thinking about all that stuff for everybody that's in your group.
yes.
And it's not any better or worse than anybody else. And I'm not like a victim here, but I'm just saying, like, as a business owner, I'm thinking of 50 some people, what is the effect on them? What's going on with them? And you're trying to just analyze every different situation. Although I've been through a lot of situations in 40 years, this one has been unique in that respect, because this is the first one I've ever been in that really had the government get involved. Not even 9/11, the government, except for shutting down the airports and stuff, they really didn't get involved.
And
This
what's scary about that, Dave, is, now that they have and they've seen what they can't do, I mean, is this going to be a precedent for every sniffle, every flu season? I mean, where is this going to stop?
Well, I'm not sure, Jeb, but it's been interesting to see the government get involved. So we've been, like, as business owners, we've been cognizant of the people on our team and their needs, but we've also had to adhere to the government requirements. There's a lot of stuff there. I mean, I know you and I have talked many times about this. Just the amount of stuff to read, to go through all these policies and the things that changed. Chuck, these things business-wise, daily. Like I get updates daily. There are volumes of stuff I need to read daily to do with what people are due, what people need, what we're going to do for people, what the next step the government's going to do, the PPE, the PPP, the PE. I mean, it's just like after a while, you just want to walk away. You're just like, and some guys I see, like on pages that Facebook pages that Jeb and I are on, I've seen some guys throw their hands up. You know, I've seen some guys throw their hands up and say, "Look, I'm just letting everybody go. I'm just going to do this on my own. I'm not doing this anymore." And you know what? Not something I would do, but understandable. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I certainly get it. Here's a guy, maybe a guy out there build a business, maybe he has 8, 12 people or something like that, but he did it himself before. And after a while, the pressure of just reading the stuff, adhering to the stuff, and in the owner's heart, you know, him or her, wanting to do the best for their people, but also having all this stuff to digest. I mean, Jeb, have you ever seen so much stuff to digest during this?
Not at all. And you know, my hat's off too. I've seen a lot of creativity out here. I love the ingenuity of some people are doing. You know, I've seen barbers put up, you know, 8x8 pop-up tents in the parking lots and hit
Yeah.
But tell me, how is that safer than them inside with hot water and a sink and more sanitation equipment than it is sitting out on a curb? That's what I don't get. But I love the fact that they're like, okay, we can't be inside, we'll go outside. I've just seen lots of, you know, restaurants that have, you know, they say 50% capacity. So they go out and build 60 bench seats and put them out in the parking lot and seat people in half of them. I've seen it all. I love all of it. It's a game, but I just love to see people think it outside of the box and do what they can to make sure their business succeeds
and do it safely.
That's right, and do it safely.
And do it.
Isn't this whole situation highlighting the differences between the mindsets of people?
It does.
Those that will
throw their hands up,
figure out how to make something happen, and those that, yeah, give up.
This is like, Chuck, it's funny you said that. I said to somebody the other night on Facebook, I said, this has become the conditions right now have become the KPI of somebody's personality, you know, an economic, and let's say an indicator of somebody. It's almost like golf. They say when you play golf, you really see what somebody's personality is. This situation here, Chuck, that's a very interesting point, because this situation has become a KPI of somebody's personality. This is really unmasked a lot of stuff. Like I've seen in people, like business owners and stuff.
And employers. Like, I mean, what employers out there good to work for?
Right. Who cares?
Yeah.
Who really cares? Who doesn't care? What employers throw in the towel? You know, and it goes down employees, employers, whatever, everybody. Like this kind of unmasks everybody. And when you say that, though, you have to say it with an ounce of knowing that there's fear. Okay. And there is some, Chuck, you and I are the same age. There is some benefit, you know, Jeb, you're a little bit younger, but there is some benefit to experience. Okay. There is, you know, everybody sees something out of a different window is how I think. So like with the 10-year-old was looking at the Twin Towers in New York coming down, you know, and the 39-year-old was looking at it. It was a different view. Okay. It was a different view. The COVID, you know, the 15-year-old out there, the 16, 17-year-old that can't graduate from high school properly, okay, is certainly looking at it from a different view than we did, okay, where we just had the normal, you know, go to the prom, get graduated, whatever it is. You know, it's a whole different thing. These people, so I think what we really need to respect is everybody sees this through a different window. Forget about politics. I'm talking about personality. Everybody sees it through a different window. This whole thing, everybody, I think people really need to be tolerant of that.
Well, yeah, I mean, regardless of politics, it's about people and it's about their lives and how they're being impacted. And, you know, it's coming from both sides. And, but I mean, if just looking at the facts, you've got, so a small business, it's a business that's under 500 people. So 1 to 499 people is considered a small business. Small businesses make up 47.3% of all private sector employees, but have but make up 61% of new jobs. And all estimates are between 25 and 50% right now of small businesses having to shutter permanently because of the impact of coronavirus and the shutdowns
What was that?
that are
What
happening.
was that number again? Say that last number.
25 to 50% of small businesses. A lot of sources are estimating that it could be up to 50% of small businesses have to shutter. So when you're talking about them making up almost half the country, over half of the new jobs, and even at 15% of them shuttering, that's astronomical economic impact that has drastic effects for long-lasting effects on people's lives.
And they say the first year is the hardest anyway. So can imagine being within that first year with this, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look at the percentage on a good, right? What you're saying, Jeff, is look in a good economy,
right?
Look how tough it is to make a business.
Then they couldn't even apply for a PPP because they didn't have last year's numbers to go against. So, I mean, anybody that started in the last year, there's going to be very few of those that come out of this.
Well, and even with those funds that companies got,
well, that's what I'm saying. The PPP, they won't apply. They wouldn't get it.
Yeah. Or if they did, and they did qualify, they got it, but they still fail. I don't know what happens as far as that money. It's not forgivable, I guess, if they go out of business. I'm not sure what the whole.
Yeah, there's still a lot of yesterday. Now that we're on the subject, the PPP loans, the application for PPP loans was 4 pages. Okay. Yesterday, the application for forgiveness came out. It was 11 pages.
Yeah.
It was 11 pages. Okay.
I'm considering that a loan, Dave. I'm not planning. They say forgiveness all they want, but I'm planning on about fourfold we'll pay that back.
Well, what they did say, now that we're on the subject, is anybody under $2 million, they're not going to question you as far as your legitimacy of taking the grant or loan originally. If you're under $2 million,
that doesn't help us.
Well, if you're under $2 million of taking money, okay, if you took less than $2 million, they're just going to be good faith. Good faith that you needed it.
Well, we'll see.
That's what they're saying. But there's still money there for the people out there that are listening that want PPP. There's still like 1.8 billion sitting there. They don't think this money. What happened was the big companies came in early and they took a lot of money. A lot of them gave a lot of money back, and they came up on this date that they had to give it back without penalty, and that's what happened. And what's happened since then is a lot of people have not applied, and they're talking about right now they have enough PPP money to get through the middle to third segment of June. Okay, the last third of June right now. So if anybody's out there and you're listening to this and you have not applied for PPP, the problem is if you haven't applied for it, it's an equalizer. And what I mean by that is if the company's down the street from whatever sector you're in, if it's electrical, plumbing, restaurant, whatever, dog grooming, I don't care what it is, okay? If your competitor down the street is taking that money, all right, and they have that money, all right, you need to get that money, all right, if you're going to stay on the, right, Jeb? I mean, if you're going to stay on the same, if you're going to stay on a level playing field with them, you need to go get that money. The money's out there.
But have the intention that you will pay it back one day, one way.
Well, in the worst case scenario is you're paying it back. It appears to me right now, you're paying it back at 1% interest. Well, I have to tell you, as a business guy, I haven't taken tons of loans in my life.
But a good number. It's a good number.
1% money is a good interest. So if you have other loans, let's say, for instance, that are sitting there and they're truck loans or they're whatever they are, I don't care what they are, any kind of loans, and they're sitting there at 4%, 5%, 6%, whatever they're sitting there at.
Get the EDL then. They want to get the EDL.
Yeah.
Borrow that cheap.
You get this money in and you pay those loans off, and you're working with a 1% loan, you're making money. And the government, and I've read volumes and volumes and volumes about this and talked to.
It's their intention to keep the small business afloat.
That's what they want. They want that money in the economy. They want that money in the economy. They want businesses to have that money. Worst case scenario is 1% loan. Best case scenario is forgiven. Get that 11-page forgiveness thing and start looking at it. Okay. And even during that, it was interesting because I looked at excerpts of it. Even during the forgiveness form, it even states in there, it was kind of comical. It states in there that they don't even realize what they're doing. It literally, there's one point that says, look, we're not sure this is the final thing or not. So it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. But I will say this, if you're a business person out there and you're listening to this, think strongly about this PPP. Don't get closed-minded about it. I'm telling you, because your competitors in the business are getting this PPP.
And Jeannie also mentions, maybe out of all this, people will, patronize the small businesses more and try to stay out of these box stores as much as possible.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't care too much about the box stores as much as I do about, I hate to say it, I'm sure some people we have a lot of listeners, by the way. A lot of people watch this, and I'm sure some of you are in China, but I got to tell you, okay? All right. I think we need to buy American.
100%.
Right? If you go to a box store, buy American. I know in my business right here on this pad next to me, right here, it says buy American. And by that, I mean, I'm starting to question my suppliers, okay, and find out, and I've never done this before, find out what components on the systems we buy are made in China. That's what I'm doing, okay? And I'm not sitting here pointing fingers, pointing blame, but I am saying this. I'd rather put my money and if I got to pay more, if I got to take a hit on the bottom line, I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit. I'll take the hit to buy American. I think we all felt that way if we all bought local and we all bought American, okay, our economy would soar. What do you think, Jeb?
I think you're right. And I think we need to stop giving away free money so that people actually want to do some of the jobs that we're getting these illegal immigrants and everything else to work in. Why are these people making more money to sit at home right now? That makes no sense. As these companies are coming back into play and they're trying to rehire, I mean, they actually have to make the report to the unemployment commission that this person did not take the job back. I mean, you got, who's really doing that?
Yeah, who has the time for
it? Yeah,
who's
really doing
Chuck, what
that?
do you think?
Well, as you were mentioning that, I was thinking about my daughter-in-law, Greg's wife, who is a manager of a Starbucks, and Starbucks was doing its best to protect the employees and said if you don't feel comfortable coming to work, you could stay home and collect your check. But Jen, my daughter-in-law, she continued to work and was one of the few Starbucks that remained open throughout. And of course, they had lines. I mean, their business
only open for drive-through, by the way.
Yeah, for drive-through. But and getting employees to come in, they did get bonus money if they came in and actually worked instead of sitting home and binge watching whatever series on TV. But I'm just so proud of folks that just wouldn't lay down for this and kept going. And
Sounds to me like she has a long-term. I mean, that's the long-term attitude. That's the long term. We're not here like calling 333-3333, and filing some lawsuit and this and that. Look, I really appreciate people that have done that. Okay, and I have people in my own. I actually have many people in my own organization that have done that. And I appreciate each and every, and I'm gonna make sure they know I appreciate it. But this thing about Buy American, I'm more of a positive thinker by nature, and I'm really on this Buy American thing. I'm telling you what, I'm not so much of a anti anything else, but I am a Buy American guy. Buy American. I mean, Buy American. When I say Buy American, it's hard. I know, because a lot of stuff, Jeb, I'll say it right here. I sell Mitsubishi. It's a Japanese product, and it's a good product, and they're good people. And they have a huge facility in Atlanta. Huge. I've been there many times. Nicest people, great people. But I have to think about all this as a business person now. We need to get these Americans back doing what we do best. We're the best people in the world at producing stuff, at finding answers, at science. We need to keep doing what we're doing. And you know what? If those people want to straggle along with us, that's fine. But they want to do it in a good way. In a good way. Okay? In a good way. Not in an adversarial way, not in a cheap way. I'm sick and tired of America losing sales to China. I really am, because of the sweatshops and the capacitors. Jeb.
Oh, yes, yeah.
The Chinese capacitors. I mean, it's stuff we deal with in our business all the time. You don't mind. I don't mind paying $15 for a capacitor or $12, whatever it is. These guys are selling them for $4, and then people are going and buying them, and they're using them, and they're junk. They're junk. They're junk. So I hope that we really, back in World War I, World War II, even the Korean War, we rallied our country. Our country rallied during that time. We rallied our country. I mean, remember Rosie the Riveter? I mean, the whole thing. We rallied our country to buy American, produce American. People were proud of it. I'd like to see us get back to that again. That's where I would like to see us be.
And I'd like to see that unemployment back at 3.5%.
Absolutely.
Well, you mentioned the American jobs, and I think the big thing people should take away, since that's a lot of what this show's about, is the necessity is the mother of invention. And Americans are amazing people. And this is the time to think outside the box, find other ways to make money. And you might be that next person that makes some breakthrough on something that nobody else was seeing. And it can be moments like this that really define the people of a country and how strong-willed they are and willing to get back to work.
I want to build for a little bit on what we were discussing previously with the different types of folks and the approach to these huge problems that we end up facing in life. And with my first wife, and she battled cancer for 28 years. And as we, going through life and meeting various people also going into the battle against, some serious disease or whatever, so often people, they just would choose to give up right off the bat. But with the right mindset, their likelihood of survival was good. But I think we see that on display here and now with people just, in business and so on, ready to give up instead of being out there and being creative and figuring out how to continue and how to use this very peculiar time to make adjustments.
Mm-hmm. I always use that, Chuck. I always use that paradigm shift. It's one of my favorite paradigm shift. I mean, if you look it up, it's one of my favorite statements ever. It's one of my favorite 2 words ever. You take the circumstances, just like you just said. You take the circumstances that you're given, okay, in a paradigm shift, and you find a way through those circumstances to make your goal achievable. Okay. And it might not be the road you started on.
Right.
It might not be the road you started on. Paradigm shift, very important. What you just said hit the nail on the head. Okay. And, tough times don't last, tough people do. And sometimes it means digging down deep. Okay. You got to dig down deep. You got to dig down deep. I mean, you and I are, around 60 years old. We're not going to sit down and say, okay, this is the end of it. Okay. This is what it is or whatever. Your rentals are off. You're going to figure out another way. You're going to market a different way. Jeb's on drive-throughs. He's going to figure it out. Okay. I've got the same thing Jeb has. We're going to figure it out. Okay. We're going to figure it out. Jeb said something earlier. Hey, we did some residential stuff. I don't usually do that, but I did that. You got to be paradigm shift, and you got to be in business. You have to be a chameleon. Okay. You have to be a chameleon. You got to be able to change your colors. All right. Along the way, you got to be a chameleon. Chameleon goes down the road. Different terrains it gets on, it turns different colors depending on where it is and what the threat is. Chuck, you hit the nail on the head right there. I love it.
It was quite the education, I guess, in that environment to get to understand that mentality, that choice to take the positive road. And you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it day by day. And one way you can guarantee that you're going to lose is to give up. If you don't give up, it's amazing what you can get through.
Chuck, the only way out is through. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
The only way out is through. I mean, you just got to, if you're a golfer and you hit your ball into the woods, you got to go in the woods and hit your ball back out. I mean,
Dave, I go golfing with a backpack and a tent because I stay in the woods.
You need to Jeff, you need to bring some freeze-dried food and a half
and a beacon system.
But what you're saying, what Chuck's saying is right on the money. I mean, it's like I have all these tough guys don't laugh, tough people do. The thing is, you got to take. It's the old, give me lemons, got to make lemonade, whatever it is, make peach cider. You gotta figure out a way to look at the circumstances, take those circumstances and make it work. It's the only choice you have. You only have two. You can do that or you can lay down.
Free checks only last so long.
Exactly. The free checks are only lasting so long. They're not lasting by the way, people, we have an election coming up. Okay. Election years mean all sorts of different stuff. Okay. Here's what I would tell everybody right now.
And we're not one way or the other.
Right. No, this is not political, but hot weather's coming. Okay. Get, whatever business you're in, if it's a restaurant by the beach, if it's a job like Jeb's, if it's a guy that has rentals, whatever it is, start thinking about what you can do to maximize your own situation. Get your head out of the sand, start thinking positive. Okay. It probably will not be like it was. Just know that. So figure out a way to look at whatever your target was when it was what it was and figure out another path to get there. Because the path is there. The path, hey, look, you're canoeing down a stream and you come up on a waterfall. What do? You got to portage around, right? You pick your canoe up, you go in the woods, you carry it around. Unless you want to go over the waterfall. I've been over a waterfall. I don't want to do that again. Okay, I did that in a canoe.
And in the woods, you'll probably run into Jeb Golf.
Yeah, you may run into Jeb there.
Very possible. But if you find my ball, you better yell.
It's a pink Callaway. It
says Atlantic Refrigeration on it.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a dozen.
Free advertising.
Bigfoot sighting in Virginia Beach Golf Course.
But Chuck's right on the money with what he's saying. It's just we got to dig deep right now. And I know if there's any business owners listening out there, it's tough. Everybody's got a hurdle. I got a hurdle. Jeb's got a hurdle. Chuck's got a hurdle. Greg's got a hurdle. Everybody's got a hurdle. We just got to identify what it is. And if there's a workaround, that's what we got to do. And guess what? If the first workaround doesn't work, pick a second one. All right. You just can't stop. And
if you're an employee, just go back to work.
Yeah. Well, and you're talking about paradigm shift, Dave, your favorite words. For years, I've been questioning, why don't more people work from home? Why isn't that?
There's going to be a lot more now. There's going to be a lot more now, Chuck.
Hey, everything I just said, if you're a commercial real estate guy, I'm sorry. But anyway, no, I mean, because there's going to be a lot more. If you're a commercial real estate guy, figure out a way to take your building and do something beside office space. Okay. Do doctors. because doctors aren't working from home.
Yep. This is,
I know. I've seen it in my own company. People working from home, getting stuff done. I would love to have everybody back under one roof. Truth of the matter is, that's not the times we're in right now, right? So we got to do this instead.
Yes. Zoom meetings and all, I think, are going to be just so much more. Now with that, now everybody's done it, and everyone has an account now, and everyone's had probably 1,000 Zoom meetings in the last couple of weeks. It's just going to be more of a way of a business now for everyone, I think.
Well,
and rightfully so. I mean, why? I mean, think about, pollution and cars and traffic and all that. I mean, you see how easy it is to sit at home. You can hit probably 10 meetings a day.
Well, you know what? It's not only amongst your staff. It's with your customers. It's with your customers. Customers, job applicants. I've seen it all with this Zoom. And I know a guy today.
Zoom was 2 months ago? Did anybody you know what Zoom was 2 months ago?
Never heard of it, Greg. Never heard of it. Yeah. I had a guy text me today that was applying for membership at a country club up in Pennsylvania, and I happen to know the pro up there. And the guy texted me. We went to high school together, and he's like, "Hey, do you know so and so that you told me you did?" I said, "Yeah, this guy's the pro." He says, "I'm on a Zoom with him right now for membership." So like this guy's trying to get into this prestigious club, and he's on a Zoom with the membership committee and the pro. All right. I sent the pro a text and said, "Hey, this guy's a solid guy."
Well, if there's any one good thing Zoom's done, or this COVID-19 or anything, is get us together to come up and start putting all these jobs out here for people to take a peek at and see if they're interested in any of these blue-collar, green-pocket jobs.
These are jobs, though, that you really can't do on Zoom, as opposed to the office type of jobs that you can. So we're the type of jobs that we're promoting generally need you there.
Yeah, when we continue on with this, I think next week, we're taking a break because of the holiday weekend, Jed.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break, let everybody enjoy their Memorial Day, and get out of the house, go spend some money.
Yeah,
go help out some local businesses. You got, free money's been coming in. Go spend it. Give it to these people. Let's open.
We're gonna take next week off, but after that, we're gonna get back on the train here with jobs. And the whole purpose of this podcast is to present jobs that you don't need to have a bachelor's degree, but that pay really good money. Okay, these jobs all pay really good money, and they all have had one thing in common. That's passion. They've all had one thing in common, passion. Every guest that we've had on here has used the word passion. Okay, so these jobs, you don't need to have now you can go on and get a bachelor's degree, you can get a master's degree if you want to, but we're talking about jobs that come out of high school, like Jeb came out of high school. Jeb came out of high school with a technical school degree, a 2-year degree in college, right, Jeb?
HVAC associates.
HVAC associates, and that's a big thing. Look at him now. He's got this big, nice truck behind him, orange and white truck. It's a beautiful truck. But anyway, he's got this big truck. He's got this nice house, nice shop there behind him. Is that a motorhome back there or a trailer?
It's a mobile office.
It's a mobile office. Okay. But what I'm saying is we're going to resume in 2 weeks with we have some really great topics we're going to come up with. I think the topics we've had already have been great. I've gotten a lot of feedback. I don't know about you guys, but a lot of text messages from people and people calling me up going, "Hey, wow, I didn't know that about that. People have enjoyed hearing about the careers.
That's it. And if nothing else, it's a tool for young, to pass out to young kids. Say, hey, here's all these jobs. Watch these videos. See which one interests you.
Yep. It's like a job hunt on video, and we're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue. And you know what? I know some of you post up questions during this. I don't get to see the questions. These guys do, but Greg does. He's back. Greg, show me your hand. And there it is right there. He is back there. He's the guy behind the scenes here that's making this all happen. But
IT department.
He's our IT department. He's the driver of this. But if you have a topic that you would like us to cover, And we have a bunch of them we're going to be covering. We're going to be covering diesel, trucking.
I've got barber's beautician.
We
we
got it.
Man, we can go.
We've got
we can list for
stenographer.
days.
We've got coder. We've got all sorts of them going on here. But if you have one that you would like us to cover, just go ahead and shoot us a message on the podcast here. You know, we'd be able to consider that. But we're going to keep going with this, and we're going to keep doing it because people enjoy it, and people are learning a lot of stuff about it. I'm learning stuff about the trades, right?
I'm enjoying every bit of it, and nothing else. I get to have a cocktail with my friends every Tuesday night.
Chuck, what about you? Have you learned anything?
Oh, it's been huge, as somebody says. But
Who says
I'm
that,
loving
Chuck?
No politics, Chuck.
Yeah, no politics. I am so much enjoying being able to kind of give back or to encourage folks in the trades. And we're not talking just jobs. I mean, we're talking careers, you know, as opposed to just going out and getting a job. This is
Tell Floyd that's on my
helping
list.
folks find something that they do have that passion for. And, you know, I end up doing something that I have a lot of passion for a lot, and that's carpentry and all kinds of, you know, handyman work. I love doing projects, and that's what I grew up in, thankfully. Was
One of the things I like best about Chuck is he found a career he didn't like. No, but that's big for me because I've been a refrigeration air conditioning guy my whole life. You went from something else. You went out of your safe zone and tried something else. You tried it. You know, he was in the money management field.
yeah.
He didn't like it.
As a financial advisor,
He didn't like it. He got
so
in it.
glad I'm not there.
But I think that's cool.
Aren't you glad you didn't spend $100,000 to do that, Chuck?
Well, I might have. No, I didn't. No.
Hey, you got to rub salt in the room, Jared. Sitting behind your big old $55,000 van there.
I wish it was that much. That would have been cheap.
I
Sue
understand.
Mitchell mentioned insurance. Floyd Higg mentioned landscaping. Yes, we have both of those on our list.
Sue Mitchell, I think she was a guest of ours one week.
We will be adding.
Wasn't she?
Adding those to our weeks. So yes.
Sue Mitchell was one of our nurses.
That's right.
Okay.
Sue Mitchell was
Yeah,
one of our
yeah.
nurses.
Yep. So those are on our list. So
Insurance
any
is a
other
great one. I
topics?
didn't think of that one. That's a great one.
Oh, those guys make it, Dave. I just renewed. You know the deal with those guys.
And it's all profit, right?
Oh,
It's all
goodness
profit.
gracious. And as soon as you have a brother, you're going to fire you as a customer. All right, we're at our time. I enjoyed it tonight. Hopefully, if there was one thing that we pushed tonight was go back to work.
Hey, I hope everybody liked our freelance tonight. This was a little freelance. Surprised all you people that thought we'd have some kind of other person on here. We just talked amongst ourselves. Anyway, Chuck, you did a great job tonight.
As did you, Dave.
Thank you, Chuck.
Jeb, you were okay.
Yeah.
And we owe it all to Greg. Show me your hand.
IT Greg. Awesome.
All right.
Next
Walk
week's
us
off.
out.
Next
Walk
week
us
is
out
off.
of here then, Jared.
Yep. Next Tuesday we are off. Everybody enjoy their holiday week. Go spend some money. Get out of the house. Go spend money. And with that, see you next time.